Namo Buddha. The Satasahasrika Prajnaparamita Sutram, the large sutra on perfect wisdom, the chapter 26 gains. Cognition of Dharma in stopping.Śakra. It is wonderful, O Lord, to what an extent the Bodhisattvas, the great being who take up this perfection of wisdom and bear it in mind, acquire good qualities, mature beings, purify the Buddha field, and pass on from Buddha field to Buddha field. When they honor the Buddhas, the Lords, the wholesome roots by which they are desire to honor, revere, and worship the Buddhas, the Lords, these wholesome roots flourish, and the Dharma which they hear from the Buddhas, the Lords, and they never again forget until they have known full enlightenment, and they gain the accomplishment of wholesomeness, and that of the retinue, the marks, the halo, the eye, the voice, the concentration, the dharanis. Having thought, skill, and means conjured up for themselves a Buddha frame, they pass on from Buddha field to Buddha field. Where there is no production or manifestation of the Buddhas, the Lords, there they preach in praise of the perfection of give and perfection of wisdom, of the 18 kinds of emptiness, of the 4 trances, the 18 special Buddha dharmas, and through skill and means they demonstrate Dharma to beings. They discipline beings in the 3 vehicles, the disciple-vehicle, the Pratyekabuddha-vehicle, and the Buddha-vehicle. Acceptance of subsequent cognition and stopping. Thereupon again Śakra said to the Lord, "It is wonderful how, where the deep perfection of wisdom is taken up, gained, all the 6 perfections have been gained. So with the pillars of mindfulness, the 18 special Buddha dharmas, the fruit of stream winner, arhatship, the knowledge of all modes, the Lord. So it is, Kaushika, so it is. Where the perfection of wisdom has been gained, there all the 6 perfections are gained, etc., to the knowledge of all modes. And again, Kaushika, as to the qualities which a son or a daughter of good family acquire in this very life, when they take up the perfection of wisdom, bear it in mind, preach, study, and copy it, and wisely attend to it, listen well to them with well-placed attention, I will teach them to you." "So be it, Lord," replied Śakra, chief of gods, to the Lord. The Lord. If any son or daughter of good family who is not a Buddhist, if Mara or the deities of Mara's host, if a conceited person wants to dissuade the Bodhisattva, the great being, from this perfection of wisdom, wants to contend against it, to quarrel with it, to contradict it, their quarrels, contentions, and contradictions they may have been produced will quickly simply vanish again. Their intentions will not be fulfilled. And why? For there the Bodhisattva, the great being, has coursed for a long time in the perfection of giving, perfection of wisdom, up to perfection of wisdom, having forsaken in every way all the inner and outer dharmas, through which beings for a long time undertake quarrels, contentions, and disputes. He has established those beings in the perfection of giving, having forsaken the inner and outer dharmas, through which beings for a long time undertake immorality. The Bodhisattva, the great being, established those beings in morality. Having forsaken those inner and outer dharmas, through which beings for a long time are driven to wrath, ill will, and doing harm, the Bodhisattva established those beings in passions, sloth, the perfection of ego, distracted thought, trance, stupidity, and the great wisdom, and through which beings for a long time wander about in samsara, the obsession with affection and aversion. From that, the Bodhisattva, the great being, leads those beings away through his skill in means, and he established those beings in the 4 trances, the 4 unlimited, in arhatship, Pratyekabuddha-enlightenment, the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. This Kaushika will be in this very life the qualities of the advantages of a Bodhisattva, a great being who goes on the pilgrimage of a Bodhisattva, and in a future life he will further awake to full enlightenment, and having turned the wheel of Dharma and having established beings in accordance with his initial vow, he will lead them into the element of nirvana, which leaves nothing behind. These will be in a future life the qualities and advantages of a Bodhisattva, a great being. Subsequent cognition of stopping. Moreover, Kaushika, the spot of each in which the sons and daughters of good family take up this perfection of wisdom, bear it in mind, preach and study it, and wisely attend to it. In that spot of earth, the Maras of the divinities of Mara, hosts of the wanderers of other sects, or conceited persons cannot cause any disturbance of thought. When this is a quarrel, contention, or contradiction of this perfection of wisdom, they will further have other qualities and advantages. By means of listening to this perfection of wisdom, they will, after they have gradually gone forth by means of the three vehicles, make an end of ill. There is Kaushika, a herb, Maghi by name. Suppose a viper, famished, desirous of food, searching for food, were to see a creature. Wanting to eat that creature, it would pursue it. But if that creature went to a patch of that herb, then the viper would be turned back by the smell of that herb. And why? Because the herb has such a healing quality that it overpowers that viper's poison. So powerful Kaushika is that herb. Just so with any son or daughter of good family who will make up this perfection of wisdom, those quarrels, contentions, and contradictions which may have risen, they will, through the piercing flame of the perfection of wisdom and through its power, quickly be destroyed and appeased. Wherever they will arise, they will quickly vanish again. They will not grow, but will be appeased. Acceptance of cognition of Dharma in the path. And why? Because the perfection of wisdom appeases all dharmas and does not increase them. Which dharmas? Greed, hate, delusion, ignorance, the karma formations, the whole mass of ill, the hindrances, latent biases, the obsessions, the view of self, the view of a being, and morality, the notion of permanence, the season of the perfection of given, the season of nirvana. Cognition of Dharma in the path. And the great kings in this great Italicos of the world, guardians, Chakra, chief of gods, Sahapati up to the Kanishta gods, they will always arrange for the shelter, defense, the protection of the Bodhisattva, the great being who will take up, etc., this perfection of wisdom. And so will the Buddhas, the lords who stand hold and maintain themselves in the 10 directions, and those sons and daughters of good family will not diminish in wholesome dharmas, and they will grow in them. The sixth perfection, and that without taking them as a basis in the emptiness, etc. Acceptance of subsequent cognition of the path. And he will be one of the acceptable speech of the measured speech. Wrath and conceit will not overpower him, and he will not be mean. He himself will be one who abstains from taking life, and others also he established in abstention from taking life, and he praises the abstaining from taking life, and he praises others also who abstain from taking life once acquiescent. He himself not take what is not given. One acquiescent. He himself, the perfection of passions, he himself stands in the perfection of wisdom, and others also he established in the perfection of wisdom. He praises. He will be acquiescent. He himself enters into all concentrations and others also he will establish in the attainment of all concentrations. Dharanis. He himself will develop the concentrations of emptiness, the silence, the wishless, and others. Also, he will establish in them knowledgeable, most acquiescent. Subsequent cognition of the path. Moreover, Kaushika, the Bodhisattva, the great being, when he courses in the six perfections, whatever gift he gives, what he makes common to all beings, and then turns it over to the supreme enlightenment, and that without taking anything as a basis, whatever morality he guards, when he courses thus, there arises in the son or daughter of good family, who courses in the six perfections, this mindful recollection: if I do not give gifts, I shall be reborn in the states of war, and there will be no maturing of beings for me, nor a purifying of the Buddha field, nor will I gain all knowledge. It occurs to him, if I do not guard morality, there will be for me a rebirth in the three states of war, and not among men and gods, and not the maturing of beings, nor the purifying of the Buddha field will be done, and all knowledge will not be acquired. It occurs to him, if I do not develop passions, my faculties will go to pieces, my paths will be disfigured, nor will I acquire the perfect form by the mere sight of which, when I course in the course of a Bodhisattva, beings become fixed on supreme enlightenment, nor can I mature beings through my perfect form or purity the Buddha or purify the Buddha field, and how much less will I acquire all knowledge. It occurs to him, when I become lazy and do not develop the path of Bodhisattva and do not exert vigor, How can I fulfill the Buddha dharmas, and how can I gain all knowledge? It occurs to him, if I become one with distracted thoughts, then I cannot train in the achievement of all concentrations, nor can I mature beings or purify the Buddha field. How much less can I gain the knowledge of all modes? It occurs to him, if I weaken wisdom and unskilled in means, having transcended the level of the disciples and Pratyekabuddhas, having matured being and having purified the Buddha field, except to fully know all knowledge, I would not fulfill the perfection of giving through meanness, the perfection of morality through morality, the perfection of passion through ill will, the perfection of rigor through sloth, the perfection of meditation through distraction, the perfection of wisdom through stupidity, and without fulfilling the sixth perfection, I shall not go forth to the knowledge of all modes. It is thus, Kaushika, that son or daughter of good family acquires qualities and advantages belonging to both this and the next life if he takes up, etc., this perfection of wisdom and becomes not lacking in the thought of all knowledge. What the path of development does, the activity of being everywhere self-disciplined and humble. Chakra. It is wonderful how much this perfection of wisdom has been set up for the control and transformation of the Bodhisattva, the great beings. The Lord, how does it do so? Chakra. Here, the Bodhisattva, the great being, coursing in their worldly perfection of wisdom, gives gifts to the Buddhas and Lords, to the Pratyekabuddhas, and to the disciples, and it doesn't occur to him, I give gifts as the Bodhisattva to the disciples and Pratyekabuddhas, to those who are miserable, to mendicants, and through this lack of skill in means, he becomes arrogant. To a Bodhisattva who guards worldly morality, it occurs, I course in the perfection of morality, I fulfill the perfection of morality, and through that he becomes arrogant. To a Bodhisattva who develops worldly passions, it occurs, I course in the perfection of passions, I fulfill the perfection of passions, the thought that he becomes arrogant. And through that he becomes arrogant. And so, with the Bodhisattva who exerts worldly vigor, who enters on worldly concentration, who develops worldly wisdom, to a Bodhisattva who has stood in the development of the applications of mindfulness, it occurs, I develop the applications of mindfulness, I shall obtain the knowledge of all modes, not cursing in this, I making dharmas, he gives gifts, but he does not apprehend the gift or the giver, he does not apprehend the recipient, and he doesn't apprehend it which he bestows. This is thus the Bodhisattva of the great being who courses in perfect reason has been set up for control and for transformation. Likewise, when he develops the other five perfections, he doesn't apprehend anything. The Bodhisattva of the great being who thus courses in perfect reason has been set up for control and transformation. This is the end of 26th chapter of the large Sutra on perfect wisdom, the Satasahasrika Prajnaparamita Sutram.